Hello buddy and welcome, I'm Comodin and today we're going to be ranking everyone's favourite tooth fairy, the toughest Autobot around, Ironhide.
Excuse me, are you the tooth fairy?
You want a piece of me? I will tear you apart!
Without a doubt a fan favourite, throughout 40 years, Ironhide has remained fairly consistent, but he's had some various unique designs that's going to make this very interesting to look at.
Stop talking, tighten your shock absorbers and get in!
Well, without further ado, let's get straight into the tier names, and first up, of course, had to be his most iconic line.
My weapons specialist, Ironhide. You feeling lucky, punk? Easy, Ironhide. Just kidding. I just wanted to show him my cannons.
Well, it's actually Clint Eastwood's, but Ironhide adopted it pretty well.
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Now for the second tier, where I do like it, but it's not the best Ironhide design.
But, listen, Ironhide.
Now for the middle tier, where I don't know how I feel.
That's it?
Hit me with everything you got, sir!
And now for the fourth tier.
Put the guns away, put them away!
You have a rodent infestation. Shall I terminate?
No, he's not a rodent, he's a chihuahua!
And now finally, for the worst Ironhide designs, it of course had to be...
No! Such heroic nonsense.
First up is of course Generation... What the hell is this?
My scanners must be glitched.
So in the original Diaclone line, these were just piloted mecha suits, so when Hasbro ported it, they had to think of a quick way to make them look like robots, so they gave them that face.
Nah, I'm too old to be useful anymore.
Needless to say, this is trash, and he was heavily redesigned for the cartoon, looking like an actual living robot. Now one thing that's always baffled me is why Peter Cullen never returned to voice Ironhide in future incarnations, because his voice is so iconic, it's a main staple of the character.
It's been worse. I remember the time on Cybertron.
Save the war stories, hotshot.
Hasbro was sitting on a gold mine there. So yeah, I love the character, I love the design, especially the Nissan vehicle mode. The Marvel Comics design didn't have to be all red, but it's still cool. Ironhide took a turn for the worst in the 90s with the terrible Generation 2 toys, the Power Master and the GoBot. I hate them. This is what I call trademark hell.
He's pissed.
I suppose the closest thing you got was the Beast Wars Ironhide design, where the dude transforms into an elephant. I mean, they got the red there. I'm not really mad about this because I think it looks really cool. I would have liked to have seen this in the Beast Wars cartoon. And I really like his new design when it came to the 2021 Beast Wars comic. Moving on to Ironhide in Robots in Disguise 2001, there's really not all that much to say about him. I could kind of forgive the cow pattern on him. I mean, he does get a fresh new paint job, but still, the design to me is pretty boring. Most of the spy changes don't have that much to offer.
You can't talk about us like that!
Same thing applies to the Armada Ironhide. This is just a way to save the trademark because this is just a redeco of Dune Runner. The only reason it's significant is because this is technically the first female version of the character. But besides from that, this is boring. You could say the same for Energon Ironhide.
I am the greatest!
Okay, I won't be too harsh. The design itself is actually really not all that bad. It is hard to ignore his annoying personality, but I was quite surprised that it didn't appear in the Legacy and Evolution line, because this would have been a great design to rework and bring back. I really do like the red and blue, they contrast really well with each other. I don't like his Roadbuster colours because, I don't know, it just kind of sucks out that design a little bit. But I'm just going to say it right here and now. Ironhide deserved that punch.
But sir!
Maybe you didn't hear me.
Alright, now let's talk about some comics and we'll start off with The War Within. And I gotta say, what a creative way to take that original G1, Diaclone design and integrate it as part of a Cybertronian mode. The shoulders are a bit too much though, and I think that windshield is a bit too high. But still, I actually like the alternate mode. It looks really cool and the wheels on the front are really nice. It's not the best, but it's still a creative way to adapt to that original toy. Not very creative though is the G.I. Joe Ironhide. This is him as a Cobra tank. Yes, this is when the Cobra took over. It's nice, the paint job's actually not that bad, and it's not like we wouldn't get that with the Bayverse, but still regardless, it's just, I don't know, I just don't vibe with it. I kind of feel the same way about the Hearts of Steel Ironhide. He's a battleship, and it's not a bad idea, there are just certain parts of it I just don't vibe with. But one thing I do like is his cannons. Now this was released before the 2007 movie. Certain parts about it remind me too much of Warpath, and he's a very oval looking character. Yeah, I'm just gonna say, he's too round. What I also really don't like is the IDW The Transformers Ironhide. Yeah, this to me just looks a bit of a mess. Nothing seems to sit right with me. Everything's just kind of sticking out, and his legs as well.
Weapons down.
And we'll let you escape with your dignity.
This is not the Ironhide I want. At least they finally got his design right when it came to his own series. I like this design a lot because he looks like the Ironhide we all know, with additional detailing and nice design choices all over the body. Yeah, this is cool. This is the Ironhide I wanted to see. His modern alternate mode could have looked a bit better, but regardless, I'm just glad we got a good design. I'll give a shout out to the Transformers Legends card game, where this artwork here with Ironhide is exactly what I want. This is so badass. This is a good modern revision of that original G1 design, giving him more oomph and firepower. I love it. Now let's talk about a classic toy that everybody likes.
We've seen that, and this is not that. Definitely not. This is worse.
Okay, this is just a retooling and redeco of Energon tow line, and it looks like trash. He was only available at BotCon 2005, and that's a good thing. But when it comes to the Universe 2008, he's a bit too blue in the face, but at the time, this was good. Not so good is the Combiner Wars Ironhide. This toy line was just horrendous. Almost every character was identical, and unfortunately Ironhide suffered the same fate.
What have you done?
I don't think the Earth Wars design is all that bad either. It does a good job of combining the IDW with the classics a little bit. But the Forged to Fight one is much better, far superior. Moving on to the version that brought the character back into the spotlight, it's of course the Bayverse Ironhide. This GMC top kick with a mid-southern accent really did redefine the character. Of course, his signature are his cannons, which I think was just a great addition, really brings out his personality, and it's a great homage to that original G1 personality as well.
Ironhide, we should leave this planet. That's not what Optimus would want.
Now, I don't think it would have worked if he was originally red. Granted, when they were filming the 2007 movie, they had a lot of difficulty filming red, especially on Optimus Prime. That's why they gave him flames. There's a lot of technical stuff to explain there, but regardless, I think it works better with the black. I still think he looks cool with red. I mean, the Bayverse toys was reskinned quite frequently with the red colour, so it's not like the G1 fans were missing out. Who knows, maybe if they did go with that red it would all be different, but still, I love this design. Sadly, this design can't always translate well with the 3D battle cards.
What is the meaning of this? You want a piece of me? I will tear you apart!
Okay, I just chose him to pick on him. Now let's move on to Transformers Animated's Ironhide. This is one of my favourite designs of a character.
Well, nice plating, Ironhide.
I actually own his Cybertronian mode toy, and it is one of my favourite toys ever. I don't know why I am constantly displaying this, especially in his vehicle mode. I'm always transforming it backwards and forwards. I just wish we got an Earth mode of what his Season 4 design would have been. This just looks amazing. Of course, heavily inspired from the Bayverse, but also heavily inspired from that original Generation 1 toy. I like the window shield just barely covering his face. I kind of wish it was a little bit shorter, but I think this is a cool idea that I just wish was fully realised. I'm always going to be begging for an animated Season 4. Now, I'm not going to be counting the Japanese version of animated where they called Bulkhead Ironhide because it's daft, it's stupid.
A total mud flap.
Now let's move on to the Align continuity, and we'll start off with the High Moon Studios Ironhide. This battle-hardened veteran is one of my favourite designs of the character, and I'm so happy that finally, after all these years, we're going to be getting a Studio Series Gamer Edition toy. It took like, what, 15 years or something? But we finally have it, I pre-ordered it, and I just can't wait to get my hands on a High Moon Studios Ironhide. His voice actor as well is incredibly underrated. Keith Sarabiker is one of the best voices of Ironhide ever.
Warpath! Slow down! What's wrong, Ironhide? Too rusty to keep up? The Decepticons are locking down!
If I could bring this kid, Optimus.
And fun fact, he voiced Laserbeak in Dark of the Moon. So yeah, that's how you know he's got range.
Is your daddy home?
Now we was robbed when it comes to the Transformers Prime concept idea of Ironhide. Ken Christensen created such a great adaptation of the Bayverse and G1. This is just a great combination. You know, it's taking inspiration from, of course, animated season 4 ideas, but it's just adapting it with that Prime style. And I will never forgive Hasbro their excuse for not having Ironhide in the show, saying that because of his death in Dark of the Moon, they didn't want to confuse kids by having him in Prime. Where's the logic in that? I mean, I love Bulkhead in Transformers Prime, he's a great version of a character, but I would have traded him with Ironhide any day, or at least have both at the same time. I mean, they did kinda make up for it by giving us the deluxe toy, which does not do justice to that design. Yeah, this is not great, but heck, at least it was made, you know? I just wish it was a Voyager class. And if the teasing wasn't bad enough, we was robbed of another Transformers Prime Ironhide with the Universe MMO game. I mean, look at this. This is just French kiss, incredible. I could imagine Ironhide looking like this as well in the show. I do prefer the concept art a lot more, but this is still badass. Now when it comes to the sequel series, Robots in Disguise, we got a wanted card. And we didn't get a really good look at the design, so let's move on to the video game version where it's just G1 but bulked up. I mean, it looks fine, but nothing to write home about. Same goes for the Constructor Bots Ironhide, where, yeah, this doesn't work. Not a fan of this.
Punk. Class dismissed.
And do we even have to begin to explain these guys? We know they're terrible. I think I'm gonna start excluding them from the tier lists.
Well, I'm tired of sucking their vapor trail. I'll stop them.
But heck, at least the Creo versions look pretty cool. His base version anyway. This... I don't know.
Don't worry, we'll get them.
Ironhide!
This is just Ratchet, painted red. This is supposed to be Cyberverse.
That was for Ratchet. And this is for me!
Now moving on to the War for Cybertron trilogy, we'll start off with Siege, his Cybertronian mode. This is fine, I like it. I'm going to start talking about these as toys, because the show there's literally nothing to talk about. I don't even remember him doing anything in the show. But I have always enjoyed that truck mode, especially his missile launcher. His Earth mode's fine, it's okay, it's the most sought after, but I prefer the Siege.
No!
They made the Earth mold better when it came to the 86 Studio Series toy. Ah, that's better. Now let's move on to the Bumblebee movie Ironhide. Now when this first came out, I was praising this design and I thought it was one of its best. But as time has gone on, I've kind of changed my opinion on this design. I still think it's good, and if you want a straight up, authentic Generation 1 Ironhide with a Cybertronian mode, this is definitely it. But I kind of wished there was more added to this, especially when compared to Ratchet. But this film was straight up paying homage to G1. And to say the dude only has 11 seconds of screen time, it feels like all that detail kinda goes to waste. Sure, you could say his face is the stuff of nightmares in some regards, I think it's still good. But there's a part of me that wanted to see those cannons. Of course not designed with a vehicle mode in mind, so when the Studio Series came along, they gave us pretty much what fans expected. I don't hate it by any means, it just served its purpose for 11 seconds. Now moving on to Transformers Reactivate, but technically Transformers Rise because that was the name when Certain Infinity were the developers way before Splash Damage took over. These were the concept ideas that Certain Infinity came up with, and we've actually got two variations, two different types of designs, and honestly it's hard to pick my favourite one. I much prefer this design here. I feel like it just captures Ironhide a little bit better, but I still like the brand new chest design that they gave him in the second version. It's not that it's bad, it's just a matter of preference, but both of them are really good. I don't know, let me know in the comments which one you prefer. Now finally, we have the latest Transformers 1 Ironhide. We have his cogless mode, and when he finally gets his cog at the end of the movie, and I gotta say, the cogless mode is a pretty basic, simple design. It's a much darker red from when he actually gets his cog. He is much more brighter. I mean, he actually got a good amount of screen time, mostly in the background of course, but he did have a line or two in the film. I just hope when the sequel comes around, fingers crossed, that they bulk up his design and give us something a little bit different, because the chest design is almost identical to the Bumblebee movie design. I hope he sounds more like his Generation 1 counterpart. Okay guys, I just want Peter Cullen to voice Ironhide again. Now let's move on to some fan art, because I want to celebrate all the great fan art out there. First up, we have Mesopius's and Prime Kelly's designs. Both of these are absolutely fantastic. With Mesopius's, I want this to be Ironhide in the Transformers 1 sequel. This is the bulkiness I want, and I would like them to include the cannons because he's become so much more iconic with them. And Prime Kelly's design, this is just a great alternative in the animated style. Like, I love how big those shoulders are, his legs, and the beard as well, as you can see on his face. This is like animated Ironhide many years into the future, and I just love this so much. Huge love as well to Max Aralfa and Shanart's designs. You can tell they're both inspired by the Bayverse, but they've taken completely different approaches. I like what Shanart has done with the vehicle mode. His chest, it kind of reminds me of Hearts of Steel just a little bit. We've got different varieties when it comes to the cannons. Both of these designs are just fantastic. Also fantastic is of course Kairito's Ironhide. A lot of inspiration from the Align Continuity's concept art, but also from animated. I like that they've given this Ironhide the effect of having the iron shield, and I hope that future Ironhide incarnations adopt this as well, because I know it's on the nose and very cheesy in some ways, but I think it's badass, and I think Ironhide should definitely include this in the future. So as always, Kairito, fantastic artwork. Now let's give a shout out to Izared's and Blaze Cross's designs. I like the art style that Izared has done. Of course, very similar to Transformers Animated and Bayverse. I mean, it's obviously Bayverse when it comes to those toes, but I love the head design. I like this sort of grunty look of Ironhide. And when it comes to Blaze Cross, I like that he's got his wheels on the shoulders, and like how you've used the Earth Wars chest in the front there. This is how he should have looked in the Earth Wars game. Another good Transformers Prime-esque style. Moving on to Optiprimus 217 and Victor Wilthong, giving us some unique art styles. Optiprimus, of course, giving us those wacky and interesting proportions. I just love this style so much. But his face is actually pretty cool as well. And when it comes to Victor, I really like this humanoid sort of approach that you've taken with your designs. Really nice. I like how he transforms into his iconic G1 van mode. And using the top of the hood as a shield as well is really nice. Next up, I want to give a shout out to Riot DKM. Really cool design. I like the vehicle mode. I like how the chest, you've taken inspiration from the original Generation 1 toy. And then we've got Student Scissors with a really good creative design here. I like how his wheels are at the bottom of his feet, and I like how they're on the top of the shoulder as well. Of course, once again, taking inspiration from that original G1 design with his chest there. I like that the window shield is just above his head. And he's got cannons. It's always good when he's got cannons. Speaking about cannons, we'll talk about God of Creatin and Frank A's designs. I love what God of Creatin has done with the arsenal he has got on top of him. That is such a massive back cannon. This is an Ironhide you don't want to mess with. I like how he's got grenades around his waist as well. Really cool design. I like the style. And when it comes to Frank A's, I love how shrunk this guy is. This dude, he's got big ass toes, he's got big ass cannons, and I like that I like a lot of artists are using the windshield aspect as well from Transformers Animated. It's a really cool approach. Another approach I really like is from changing his tuba, where he's given G1 Ironhide cannons. Of course, he's changed up that G1 design, and he's also given him a tattoo as well. So this Ironhide looks a lot more tougher. He's been taking a page out of Bayverse book. We've got a great lineup of designs here from the Rio Michael, Bumblebee TF, and Locust Focus. I like what the Rio Michael has done here with G1 Ironhide, once again giving him that extra armor. I like he's got the Elite Guard on his arm as well. And then with Bumblebee TF, this is just G1 Ironhide, but just buffed up to the max. I really like this art style a lot. I really like the bulkiness from Locust Focus, a more cartoony approach, but it's still a cool and badass looking design. I like his legs, I like how chunky they are. Dude's been hitting the gym for sure. Also hitting the gym are Odysseus's and Name Hex Official's designs. I like the 3D model that Odysseus has done here. This is also what I'm talking about when it comes to the Transformers 1 sequel. I want Ironhide to be a bit more bulky, a lot more buffer like this. This is a good Cybertronian, G1 and Bayverse inspired design. And while that may be familiar, I also like what Name Hex has done very differently. He's got giant ass cannons, which is very cool, and I like how his legs look as well, looking almost like treads. The proportions and style on the chest and shoulders, how it all builds up together is really cool, and taking those original Diaclone colours as well. Of course you could say Bayverse colours, but still I like how the orange and the yellow mix with each other with the red. I also really like Egg Boy's approach with his Cybertronian Ironhide, his face of course being G1 but harkening back to Bayverse where he had that damaged eye. And his Cybertronian mode is so robust, this is what I wanted in the Bumblebee movie. And when it comes to Mr. Osprey, I like how all fan artists just agree that Ironhide should have been a Hummer. I like that for an Earth mode. I like the GMC, it's my favourite, but if he looked like this in 2007, I wouldn't complain. Of course, I have to mention Lex 2 Draw stuff. I love this magazine-like cover, and his head mode very much paying homage to Energon, so he's combined elements from Bayverse, G1, and Energon, and it works. This is the Energon Ironhide we should have had from the beginning. And I just love how he's got chromia on his kneecap there. Now moving on to Pocket Heavy and Primal, I like what Pocket Heavy has done with his Ironhide, giving him a SWAT look as well. I can definitely imagine him transforming into something like that. Great style, I really like it. And same goes for Primals as well. I like the good contrast between the black and red, featuring a lot more black and very subtle red. I like the style of those cannons. And I like that you showed us that he has a battle mask mode. Now moving on to our final Ironhide fan art design, it's of course by Vinny Arts-A-Lot, and this is just wow. I love this. A great contrast of Transformers Animated, Bayverse, G1, all of it, and he has those horns on the front of his car. That is just wow. I never imagined Ironhide having a bull effect, literally. I like that truck mode a lot. And the cannons are just the right size as well. It really fits with that window shield. Yeah, get this in a comic book. I want to see this design in a comic.
Credit where credit is due. I am impressed by our most recent performance.
And because I love all of these fan art Ironhide designs, they all belong in the highest tier. And there we have it guys, every Ironhide design ranked from worst to best. It is kind of hard to choose my favourite Ironhide. I would say the High Moon Studios one, but I wish that design had cannons on it. I guess ultimately I'm going to have to go with the Align Continuity Ken Christensen concept art. That is just a perfect design, and I'm just so gutted that we never got to see it in action. How could you do that to us, Hasbro?
Punk-ass Decepticon.
Anyway guys, let me know which Ironhide design is your personal favourite in the comments section below. Next week, I'll be covering Ratchet.
Yeah, that looks fun.
So, I've been Comodin Cam, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and until then, I need to take a break.
Very well, if you feel that strongly about it. But we shall miss you, Ironhide, old friend.
I miss you already.